Okay, so we're going to start with the doctor's opinion. Once again, my name is Gina. I'm an alcoholic, and we have to be mindful that right now YouTube only allows us 10 minutes free. So we might have to cut up the doctor's opinion into different parts, but everybody get your big book out and read along with me. And here we go. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery outlined in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the suffering of our members and witnessed our return to health. So what they're letting you know is medical men have witnessed really two things. The suffering of our members, that's us, alcoholics, and the second thing they witnessed is our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcohol and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter, and that's Dr. Silkworth. He worked at Towns Hospital in Lower Manhattan, treating alcohol and drug addiction. At that time, in the 30s, there was about 51,000 alcoholics that he treated. So he goes on to say in a letter to AA, "To whom it may concern, I've specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless." He's talking about Bill Wilson. And the important thing to point out right here is the doctor clearly states he's a competent businessman of good earning capacity. That lets you know right off the start that Bill Wilson is not only a genius, this illness does not have any prejudice, so it's park bench to Park Avenue. He's a visionary. Bill Wilson is a visionary. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. I don't know about you, but I could laugh at that. In the course of his third treatment, I remember counting detoxes to about 100, and I was still in my early 30s. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise still with others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. So what he's talking about is a rapidly growing fellowship of AA, and when he mentioned these families, he's talking about Al-Anon. Because while the men were upstairs talking about their problems with alcohol, AA, Lois was with the wives in the kitchen drinking coffee, and they started Al-Anon. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. So with the help of the first 100 and Bill Wilson, they really helped to write the big book. Imagine that these dead men have written down the great news. Imagine if they played a game of telephone. I told you and you told him, and by the time it came back around to me, the story would be completely different. So the great news is that they wrote this stuff down. I personally know scores of cases who are of the type with whom other methods have failed completely. And the operative word there is type, because he quickly lets you diagnose yourself. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group. They may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations, and we know that a remedy is an answer or a solution to. The good doctor finishes off the first half of his letter by saying, "You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours," and he signs his name in this edition, but it was signed anonymous in the first edition. And notice how he uses the word extraordinary, because we're alcoholics. Anything ordinary doesn't work for us. Has to be extraordinary. And why would I believe an alcoholic, a drunk, a liar, a thief? Because you guys speak the language of the heart. You're speaking my language. I can relate to you. That's why the doctor says you may rely on absolutely anything they say about themselves. The book goes on to say, "The physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe." So this book is filled with absolute language. Must is pretty strong. We must believe. Sounds like a rule or an instruction. That the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, but we're sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. So it's not just a problem of the mind. Anytime I put one of anything in my body, I get physically ill. You can relate to that. Think about your withdrawal from alcohol in any form. It makes you sick. So our bodies are sickened as well. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may of course mean little. But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. So an allergy is a negative or abnormal reaction. We're different than other people. If I was allergic to strawberries or peanuts, I might break out in a rash, and there's a good chance I wouldn't touch them anymore. Or shellfish. Some people are allergic to shellfish and they break out. They have an abnormal or a negative reaction than normal people have. And we have accepted the word allergy for really lack of a better word. Okay. So, though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is jittery or befogged. So altruistic means unselfish, and when they're talking about hospitalization, in modern terms, that would mean detox. More often than not, it's imperative that a man's brain be cleared out before he's approached. He has then a better chance of two things: understanding and accepting what we have to offer. Understanding what the nature of the illness is, and that's really the definition of the allergy, that we have an abnormal or different reaction from normal people. And accepting what we have to offer. What are we accepting? That it applies to us. The good doctor writes, and he goes on to write more. So here's what he has to say. The subject presented in this book seems to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcohol addiction. So he's considering alcohol an addiction, just like drugs. I say this after many years' experience as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. So Dr. Silkworth is the boss of bosses. He is the medical director in Towns Hospital. There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. Masterly, divinely, really. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. So you can put the drink down, but you can continue your bad behavior. For example, lying, cheating, stealing. So moral psychology was what they tried to do to you after you put the drink down, was take out the bad behavior, work on your bad behavior. Okay. What with our ultra-modern standards and our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. And when he's saying good, he really means God, although they have not introduced God to you at this point in the book. Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital, and while here, he acquired certain ideas which he put into practical application at once. So he's talking about Bill Wilson, and Bill Wilson was actually still in detox when he came up with the idea of the 12-step program, and that he could help other alcoholics. So he put this practical application to use at once. And the good doctor goes on to say, later he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgivings we consented. So 12-step work is a privilege. The doctors did not want to consent to Bill Wilson doing this, but Dr. Silkworth really pulled for Bill Wilson, and it worked out. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, most of them amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. So we're seeing the doctors pointing out 3 things about AA that he's witnessing. We're unselfish, we have an entire absence of profit motive, and a community spirit. You know, when the alcoholic starts to straighten out, it's amazing how the family straightens out as well. They believe in themselves, and still more in the power, capital P, which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. I have to stop now. We'll do part 2. I don't want to go over the 10 minutes. Thanks for letting me share.